Good morning. Good morning to everyone. First, I want to say once again, Lee and I showed up dressed the same. I'm just going to get that out of there right away. Before I even say really good morning to anybody, I'm going to say I knew it too. I knew it the second I decided to wear my summer jammies that I use for this. As I was putting it on, I was like, Lee's going to show up in the same thing. And we did. So there
Yes,
you
we
go. That
did.
tells you, again, once again, proof of how long we have been friends. Right
Yeah.
there. You cannot deny it for that reason. But we are back on a Friday morning doing new roundtable. It's just Lee and I today. But that is awesome because, first of all, last couple of weeks have been incredibly either busy, we were a little burnt out, and we addressed that in the group. And we decided there was one of the weeks where it was just we were just cashed out. We couldn't do this, and
Mhm.
that is important, Lee. Don't you agree? For us to talk about even that too.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah, because this is something that I was thinking about it actually this morning as I was getting ready for this, that from the moment I jump out of bed to the minute I fall down, there's something for me to do. Now, I sometimes have to choose not to do it and put other things first. Like last night was my son's baseball game. That was a priority versus getting any emails answered or following up with any messages. Even the simple things I can do sitting on the couch watching a movie with my kids. Sometimes I have to do that. But last night the priority was my son's baseball and supporting him with his third baseball game, and he was the closing pitcher. It was a really hard game for these kids. I almost was throwing up. I was so nervous for every one of the kids on the team. I couldn't sit down. All the dads are pacing. You can
Oh,
see
really?
dad's pacing, and the moms are all like just like cheering like their hearts out for these kids. And it was a really rough game. And here's the interesting part, Lee. I told Isai, my son, that if he lost, that his brother, who's 16, will never let him live down the fact. One day he's going to bring it up soon, that they lost to the White Sox.
Oh,
Which, I'm the biggest White Sox fan. That's my team. But
uh,
I couldn't cheer for the White Sox because of the fact that my son plays for the Phillies. But
exactly.
that's the point. It was so fun. I again, this is for business, but I want to tell everybody this, that there is something truly amazing. A lot of parents have gone through this, but this was the first for me. Seeing my son in that position of having to be so incredibly poised and handling more pressure than he's handled
Sure.
ever in his life before. And I mean, everybody was hoping and praying. Well, there were so many mistakes that had been made. And again, every kid on the team, it was kind of like, again, they're 10 years old. So there was one that's 8 on their team, and there's a couple that are 11. So I mean, like, this is a age group that shouldn't be handling this much pressure, and they did.
Exactly.
Like I was so proud of every child on that team, and they handled it with grace. Nobody got upset or mad. They said they tried, and again, it's only their third game together with this team. But my goodness, I wouldn't have wanted to be under that pressure. And here's my son who has never been under that pressure before, being the closing pitcher. He was a closing pitcher for the first game and also the third game of his career in baseball. So I'm just really proud of him. But man, I was like, by the time I got home last night, I didn't even know what to think. I was like worried about him, starving, emotionally exhausted. So it was a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful night. But it was also, man, you talk about me bottling all the energy and just going like, okay, got to focus. So, anyways, my point is, it's just amazing that, as we grow ourselves, seeing our children grow, oh man, it was everything. It was really incredible. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I'm still like processing. My dad sent me a text this morning, asked if he was okay, and I said, he handled it better than I thought anybody could, and he was happy when he went to bed, knowing he tried, and I was so proud of him. So
Yeah.
anyways, but what we wanted to talk about today is, again, we always talk about the journey of entrepreneurialism and the pitfalls and the problems that are so common for female entrepreneurs. And, Lee, you are going through a lot right now, as in, like, same thing, trying to balance out entrepreneurialism, building a career in something that works in with entrepreneurialism. So,
Mm-hmm.
how's it been trying to balance that out last couple weeks? I wanted to ask you that before we jump into our subject.
Yeah, it's been draining.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting because it's like I'm actually building my own thing. So I have the public speaking um business I want to build, but now I'm actually doing that. Not for public speaking, but for this. But it's a lot. It's a lot that I've had to do, a lot of studying, a lot of testing, um, and I've been to an outside networking group, and it's kind of networking within the group as well.
Mhm.
So it's a lot. It's something that I wasn't really expecting, but it's exciting at the same time. And what I really love is almost every conversation I have with the people, that I deal with, they're all entrepreneurs. Some of them have their a 9 to 5, so this is kind of like a part-time thing. But regardless, it's always about we talk about self-improvement, how
Mhm.
it's necessary as an entrepreneur, um, comfort zones. As a matter of fact, I was just having a discussion yesterday with my team about comfort zones. So I love the fact that it ties into everything that I've learned being part of Great King and being part of this group, and that it really is there are common threads within being an entrepreneur. There's things that every single one of us have to do and continue to do, self improvement, you know,
Yes.
learning more about different things. Even you, we had the group where well, there was a time where we were reading books
Mhm.
as a collective. Well, they do the same thing. So every month there's a book that we all have to read.
But that is one of Lee's least favorite things to do. So I'm sorry. I see some irony in this. Go ahead.
I
Keep going.
know. I
Okay. Keep going.
and guess what? I still haven't got through the either one of the books. So I didn't get through the first book, and I haven't even started the second book.
So now you're being recorded saying you're going to work on it today.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Okay.
And it was another thing that's funny is I was suggested to read another book by a lady that I met at a women's networking event. So I mean, it all goes hand in hand. So I'm learning that everything that I have learned, that you've taught me, that I've learned on the journey with you and preparing to be an entrepreneur, all of it is exactly what all of us have to do and go through and, make part of our daily lives, really.
Mhm. So it's interesting. There's another context to this as well. How much more prepared? And again, this is not a comparison against anybody else that you're working with this company, but do you feel an advantage for the fact of all the training you've been going through walking into this situation? I can tell you, knowing you as long as I've known you, that you are very calm right now. You are not freaking out. I haven't gotten any calls going, what am I doing? Because I do know that personally, yes, you are. I will completely validate what you said. It is enter any product, any service. The personal side of it is going to take a similar path. The
Mm-hmm.
issues you come up against, the self-doubt and the sabotaging and the imposter syndrome and the how the heck am I going to get through this road, and I thought it was going to take a week and it's taking a month or a year, whatever it may be. None of those things kind of deviate. They are the standard problems and factors into entrepreneurialism. And
Yes.
are you seeing that again now? Or I should say seeing it in a repetitive way, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, I am. And it's so funny because every single time I'm at, I'm doing training or even talking to the people that I'm working with, it's all the same, and the motivation is the same. The mentorship is the same. I mean, everything is exactly the same. So it validates for me that everything that I've done up to now is exactly what being an entrepreneur is about. It's exactly the thing that you need to do to prepare yourself for that. And I tell the people that I work with, it's like my best friend has prepared me for this. If it wasn't for her, this I probably wouldn't have even pursued it, to be honest with you, because it's so far out of my comfort zone. But because of working with you and doing this pajamas and coffee and even grit and king work, it all seriously it prepared me for this, and it's not as scary to me as it would have been prior to this.
Again, once you walk through it, I don't care how many times you walk through it, you're still going to have to accept our human nature. There you go.
Mm.
That's a good way to put it, because we still will come across problems. We think we have it handled, and then, or we can't identify it, and we know we're going through something. There's always those things. Yes. And that's, again, human tendencies, human imperfection. And also, we've got a brain that works faster than sometimes our emotions can handle, and vice versa. So all those things play a factor. However, you're going in with a calm that other brand new entrepreneurs probably do not have right now.
Mhm.
I'm going to put a bet out there right now. I'm recorded by saying I have a feeling you're going to end up as a team trainer with that company very, very soon. Even if you don't like it, you're going to.
Right.
And you're going to be the one saying, we're going to read a book together. And you're going to be like, oh, here we go again. But it's going to
Yeah.
happen. I
Yeah.
guarantee it.
I think I just need to accept it. It's there.
And funny thing, if anybody doesn't know this about Lee, she hates, well, she says I'm always right when I have those intuition feelings, and this is one of them. She hates that when they come true, but she knows it's going to. And again, I'm not saying this out of any vanity or anything. It's just I can see your path of greatness that's unfolding in front of you. And I
Yeah.
want you to know that you don't have anything to be scared of. You have so much support, just like every one of the women in this group. But at the same time, you also have a ton more experience than you even know right now that you'll be able to rely on. And you will have things come flying out of your mouth very soon, if it hasn't already, that you're like, oh man, this was said to me like 5 times. Dang it. Yeah,
Exactly.
gonna happen.
That's like in my head. Every conversation I have when it's something that you and I have discussed, I'm like, oh my god. And the thing is, and it's like I love it actually. I don't hate it. I love
Yeah.
it because it just proves to me that what I've been taught up until now, the advice that you've given me, the suggestions, I mean everything, it just proves to me that you are it. You know exactly what you're talking about, and it validates um it validates everything. And so I love the fact that you've taught me, and everything that I've learned, working with you has is serving me in even a different capacity right now, and it's going to serve me for the rest of my life and whatever I do. So
Yes.
I love that you are always right, and that the advice you give me is always accurate and turns out to be exactly what everyone else thinks too. And so yeah, I love it.
Well, I'm
So
glad, because,
thank you to you
well,
for
you are welcome. And I accept the compliment first and foremost. Thank you. I don't, this, but that I don't put myself in the position of coaching and teaching very lightly. In fact, for many years, and I still up until recently have said I'm not a coach. And I've had two people say the more you push away from it, the more you're being pushed to it.
Mm.
Okay, so I don't, and for me, it's a humility issue. And Lee, I know you know this before I even say it because you know me so well, that the title of coach, mentor, educator has a lot of gravity. It has a lot of responsibility with it. And
Mhm.
that's part of the reason why I think that I've been trying to kind of stay away from it. And it's because I'm trying to stay humble. I'm trying to stay in that position of acceptance and learning and humility versus for me, vanity and saying, I got it all. I guess that's part of it. And I'm working on that myself. And again, that's what this is for all of us to talk about our things that we work on without it being complete therapy. There's no couch sitting next to me. So I
Right.
keep making my therapist this morning. I can do it after the call when I lay on the couch. But that's been my struggle. And somebody said this recently that I very much respect as well. And it really helped. She, was with on a call with myself, my business partner, fiance, and also, which is still weird to say, also a couple other of entrepreneurs that I work with a lot and network with. And another female entrepreneur on the call had made the comment, well, I'm good at, I guess I am. I'm good. No, I guess I am. She was kind of like backtracking instead of saying, I am good at this. And our good friend went, stop, hold on. Do you realize you're out of alignment the opposite way? If we do not just say, I'm good at something, and this wonderful, wonderful entrepreneur is like, well, and I totally, I mean, I felt her energy at that moment. It was just humility. She wasn't doubting or saying, I'm not good at it. She was being humble. And
Mhm.
our good friend said, she's like, well, listen, when you're out of alignment the other way, people will never understand what you are truly good at. And it was a way better explanation than that at the time. But what it really said to me was, because I've always led with humility too, but there needs to be a balance in between. You can't be too humble and you cannot be egotistical. You have to walk the line right in between because there is things that we are better at than other people. I've always had trouble justifying in my head though, saying, well, I'm very good at this because I know out there's other people that are better.
Mhm.
That's always been my hang up with saying but again, I've never said I'm the best at this. I don't think I'll ever be able to say that. But
Right.
I can say I'm good at something, but I need to then like not allow myself to blink. It's kind of like when we learn to take compliments. It's the exact same thing in my book, at least. And I've said this many times to other people that I had to come to terms with the fact that when I go, oh yeah, it's not accepting a compliment. And compliments are just like people handing you a gift. And I had to realize I had to stop, look them in the eye, and say, thank you. I accept your compliment. Thank you
Mm.
so much. I acknowledge it. Thank you so much. And not blink, not look away, don't look down. Look them in the eye and say, thank you. Truly, thank you.
Yep.
I also do not need to discount it either because that's like throwing the gift on the ground and, oh, sorry, it's damaged now. You have to stand in it. And I realized that for me, that's the exact same spot where that comes from of leading with too much humility versus saying, I am good at this. I do this. So again, very long way of answering the fact of that I am getting better at what is a coach to me. Because the term coach can become kind of a catch-all right now. And I guess part
Mhm.
of the reason why I was having trouble with it is there's a lot of coaches out there. And again, there's beautiful coaches, and even in this group, I'm not discounting what any of them do. That's my point. I have a trouble though with if somebody is really good at knitting and all of a sudden they say, I'm an expert at software, I'm a coach. That's kind of in my head. You know what I mean? Like where it goes. And again, that might not necessarily, I'm being very, very dramatic for the point, but that's kind of where my disconnect was. Whereas that's why I've always said I am very good at business strategy. I am an advocate for female entrepreneurialism. I am an advocate for single moms. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that is who I am. I have no trouble saying that.
Mhm.
But where I need to realize my coaching skills are like this. Like, I am supposed to help single moms become entrepreneurs. So I have to be able to say, I am a business coach that can aid single moms in their journey to becoming entrepreneurs and finding their identity now, not again. That's a big thing for me. And also to be able to show their children a less stress, healthier, happier, more present version of themselves. Well, then if I attach all that to it, the ability to say I'm a business coach for that doesn't feel as weird. It doesn't feel as out of alignment for me, I should
Right.
say. So that's what I've been working on this week. So there you go. Uh, that's been a hard one. But again, too, I had to justify, or to not, I should say, I needed to learn to not justify not saying it, if that made
Right.
sense. So that was something too. Well, this was interesting considering this wasn't even the subject that we had planned to talk
I know,
about.
right?
But this was even way better because this is us and our things that we're going through. So I would say, first, do you want to add anything to this? Is there anything? Because again, you're in a different spot in your journey than you even were even a month ago.
Yeah. Um, one point that you had mentioned about the conversation that you were talking about, and I talked about this, I think it was this past Monday's live. Anyway, at the network event that I was at, it was a nice small group of women. And I was able to talk to a couple. And one of the ladies, she was like what she called a grief coach. And she helps women or men who have lost children, but she also helps adults who have other. So I've seen this a lot where a parent or parents lose a child, and they're so caught up in that grief that they kind of ignore any other children that are present still. But she helps them to get past that. But grief is different things. Grief could be something that someone is dealing with from a past tragedy or a past growing up as a child. So I thought that was really interesting, but that don't have anything to do with the conversation. But the other lady that I was talking to, I was actually talking to her about this group, and I invited her to this group. And one thing she was telling me when I was telling her about PJNC, it's like, yeah, we have 700 and at the time it was like, I think it was 173 members. And I used the word, I don't want to say what the word is because, I mean, not a bad word, but it's just, she kind of, what she said to me kind of made me throw that word out of my vocabulary.
Okay.
So, she was like, that is an accomplishment. She's like, you all should be proud of that accomplishment. I mean, you all have been able to get together over 100, over 170 women in one place, and you're helping them. And she's like, I would love to be a part of that. And she was like, you really need to give yourself a pat on the back. But you know me, you know that I've been struggling with any accomplishment that I made. I don't really feel like I'm actually making any accomplishments or doing, creating any accomplishments. But the more I thought about it, especially after that conversation, I was like, wait a minute, I have done this, I have done that. And it's a conversation that you and I have had as well.
We're probably going to have it later today again then.
Yeah. You remind me of the things that I have accomplished. And I think in my brain, I'm thinking accomplishment means something bigger than it really needs to be,
Yes.
And when she was like, you're an entrepreneur, you've done this, you've done that, you've had to do this in order to, change your mindset, to change your behaviors and things like that. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess really I have accomplished a lot because
yes, you have.
I wasn't in this spot. And even in that particular situation, please, That would have been really rough for me, you know, what, 2 years ago.
Yes.
So I just want to say that we all, everyone thinks accomplishments or has a definition of an accomplishment, but an accomplishment is anything that you're able to do or to achieve, personal, professional, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even have to be, you know, in business. It could be anything. But let us never take for granted the changes that we have made, that we have been able to make, that we're going to continue to make. Don't ever take those for granted. Those are all accomplishments, and we should all be proud of the being able to do that.
Yes. You know, Lee, I don't know if this helps you, but like with this group, this is a labor of love. Our objective was not to jump in and start doing high ticket sales and
Mm-hmm.
force feeding it down anybody's throat. Our reason for starting this was a labor of love of outreach and giving to women that need support in their business. That's it. That was our whole, by the way, if anybody's listening to this and goes, what were they trying to accomplish? Yeah, guess what? The curtain behind in Oz, there's nothing there. You know, like we're doing this. Well, and I'll tell you, transparently, what we receive out of this, and Lee, you can agree or disagree, but is the ability to get on here all the time, talk about different things comfortably without notes, and also to be able to practice our abilities to do these things and also to talk about the things that are important. So we get something in return. It's not a completely selfless act, but again, what we're getting out of it is no harm, no foul to anybody else. It's just purely something that we know that we can get out of it. But it does take time and effort out of our schedules. And we're okay with that because of the why we're doing it. And in fact, one of my mentors this week is like, you need to stop everything in your schedule that will not get you to really what it boils down to is income earning activities. And I said, I completely agree with you, but thank you. But I've got a couple things I'm keeping. And again, he's a very different dynamic than I am for a reason. If I was working with a coach that was identical to me, I would not be performing at my best. He's getting more performance out of me. And I was aware of this from day one. That's why I chose him. Nessa and I both did, because I know that he doesn't allow me to be comfortable. Now, he allows me to be safe and he keeps me safe, but he will not allow me to be comfortable. And with our project being so big and being so narrow, as in trying to serve single moms now, not just broad education, which we still have, but really to narrow it down to really making a push for this next, or I should say for quarter 2, 3, and 4 of this year, to get in front of single moms and to really assist them. That moment when I realized that that was our goal and he was on board for it, I didn't hesitate, because of the fact that I knew that this was always my plan, this was always my path, and for other people now to pick up that mantle and now say let's do it was huge. However, behind the scenes, it's not always comfortable working with somebody that has also a similar vision but knows a better way maybe to get there, or he has ideas on one thing and I have ideas on other things, and he's like, we're going to go with mine, and then another subject, let's go with yours. I had to a couple times say, no, I do agree to disagree on this. And then he goes back and sits back and thinks and he goes, okay. Or I do the same thing with him, or I look at things that I need a moment to process and I come back to him and I'm like, wording's a little too aggressive. It's still a little too masculine. Oh, okay. And that's how we're working together. We're getting to know each other through that process too. And then Nesto is getting to know him as well through this process. But my point is that we can't always be comfortable to grow.
Right.
And that's why this group is so important too, that it was a growth spurt, especially honestly. And again, I'm not trying to call you out, but Lee, you were not as comfortable or familiar with doing podcasts and things like this. I know. And that's why I pushed you to do it at the beginning. When you were like, I'm like, no, you're doing it. Didn't give her a choice, because I knew that even, again, if you don't want to become the most successful podcaster in the world after school, but what it will do for you is make you comfortable to command attention in meetings. And I know it already has paid off.
Yeah.
It's so different when you're used to this and you do this all the time. So I'm very, very proud of you that you are applying everything that we do together. That's I'm not going to take credit. I'm just going to say we do it together and we grow together. So
Oh, I give you credit all the time.
well, you can, but I'm going to give you credit too because if you were not receptive,
Yeah, true.
it wouldn't work. So I'm very proud of you. So, well, we want to continue to hear about your journey, and then I guess next week, unless we find a better subject that just randomly pops up organically, I wanted to talk about today. And like I said, we're slated. We'll try to, like I said, it'll be on the schedule for next Friday to discuss the idea of the little tiny shifts that are happening right now behind the scenes in the presence of social media. Now, what that means is there are companies being investigated, not ours, of course, but big companies. I'm talking about well known brands within the media industry and also new laws that are coming out. So, what does that mean for startups? What does that mean for entrepreneurs? And what does that mean for the ethical entrepreneurs out there, the ones we want to be always?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting. I heard this morning that the era of big influencer media is going to shift dynamically soon. And I agree. And the educators and morality entrepreneurs, moral entrepreneurs, are going to have a definite spotlight moment. And this is great because, again, the ones that have made all these big boasts and claims are the ones that are going to be literally in the spotlight first. Just like we're seeing people kind of canceled in Hollywood right now, we're going to be able to see people online, influencers canceled at an alarming rate in the next couple of months to year. So I want to talk about that in the context next week of why we need to stick to our morals, why we need to be ethical and have that compass inside of us in our companies. And we talked about at the very beginning of this of having a manifesto, an ethics manifesto. That's all going to come full circle when we talk about this. So I am looking forward to that. That was planned for today, but then Lee just opened up and decided to just share her journey. I'm very glad. No, because I've been waiting to have this conversation anyways, but we've been so rushed lately. So guilty of saying I'm glad I killed two birds with one stone at this moment because that you got to organically share it with the group as well. So
Yeah.
I'm very, very glad about that.
Thank you.
So we are all in this group waiting to hear more updates about what you're going to be doing next.
Okay.
And how your journey progresses, because this is real time that anybody in this group that may be struggling, you're a perfect person for them to reach out to and talk to them because, again, you have a unique viewpoint that others do not because you are actively walking the steps with them. So I am very excited to hear more about it. And again, I want to, all the feedback, all that. I'm just really, really proud of you. I'm proud of everybody in this group, and I want to see this group continue to grow and strengthen as a community. So we will do all that we can to support everybody. We're only a DM away. And I will remind everybody, because I talked about it on Wednesday and I posted about it yesterday. Like I said, our program that is very much of an umbrella of education for entrepreneurs that teaches you how to build businesses has been scaled down to be appropriate for the time frame of what a single mother can, and also financially. We're doing a beta test program to make sure that it is the exact right fit for a single mom schedule. And that's why we're doing this right now. And I'm looking for 6 single moms. And it's a very low price. Very, very, it's just me to make sure more of accountability. It's literally nothing. I mean, it's less than what we normally spend in groceries a month. So it's, well, at least for me. So that's why I would like to encourage anybody that is associated with a single mom or emotionally attached to single moms in their community to tell them that they can do this. And this is an opportunity, once in a lifetime opportunity for them. Because again, this is not a TikTok side hustle idea or go on Amazon and none of those things. This is real business. And he is a perfect example of what is inside of there and how it is being utilized within her company and her career. So please, please, please encourage any single moms that you know to reach out to DM me through Facebook or our email address. And I will be able to, in the next couple of weeks, give some updates on that situation too. So we'll keep everybody informed about that as a side note, not as a main topic. So, Lee, is there anything you want to add before we go?
I do.
Oh, go ahead. Go for it. Floor's yours, then you got to finish it out then. I'll just
Yeah.
sit back and drink my coffee. Go for it.
So if we can do it, you can definitely do it. And we are here to help in any way that we can.
I agree. Perfect way to end it, as always. Well, Lee will be back on Monday, so we
Yes.
will see you then. Have
All
a
right.
great weekend.
Yes. Have a great weekend.